Hi, this is Claire from the Teachers Talk Text podcast, and this is a quick analysis of a key quote from Shakespeare's romantic comedy, Much Ado About Nothing. It gives you a taste of the analysis that you'll get if you purchase a series of quotes and analysis that I've put together for BearLearn on bearlearn.com. In this video, you'll even see how you can put the information you're going to learn from this video into BearBank. Setting up an account is free on bank.bearlearn.com. So open up your bank and let's take some notes. Don Pedro says, "I will assume thy part in some disguise, and tell fair hero I am Claudio." If you've got the Cambridge University Press 2014 edition of the play, this quote appears on page 17, but you can otherwise find it in all versions of the play in Act 1, Scene 1, lines 247 to 254. This quote by Don Pedro touches on the themes of masculinity, deception, and the use of clothing to give false appearances. And though it's said by Don Pedro, the quote itself says more about the character of Claudio. It's also an example of verse in the play.
Consider how this quote applies to the 2022 VCE English exam question. Don Pedro uses his influence to manipulate the lives of those around him to their disadvantage. Discuss. Consider how this quote applies to the 2021 VCE English exam question. In Much Ado About Nothing, romantic relationships are more about appearances than about reality. Discuss.
Here, Don Pedro describes his plan to woo Hero on behalf of Claudio. It's somewhat plausible that Claudio would request for Don Pedro to speak on his behalf because he's young and he may lack confidence in this sort of discussion. However, the trickery and deception of the plan, having a masked Don Pedro tell a masked Hero about the desires of Claudio, could really have been circumvented by a direct conversation between Don Pedro and Leonato. Claudio's agreement to the plan suggests a sense of insecurity, which is in stark contrast with the bravery he was originally introduced by the messenger as having, displaying feats of a lion. However, the introduction of the masked ball with its use of disguise is what allows Don John to claim he had overheard Don Pedro seeking to woo Hero himself. And this is what leads Claudio to believe Don John's lie. Claudio's fragile masculinity reinforces his lack of trust in others and supports a belief that another man, his mentor, Don Pedro, would look to swoop in and take his bride-to-be. The very same fragile sense of masculinity in Claudio that can be implied from this quote foreshadows the painful events later in the play when Claudio denounces Hero. More broadly, this early instance of intentional trickery sets a scene for a society which ironically readily engages in deception, yet are themselves frequent victims of it. From a stylistic perspective, what's interesting is that in this conversation between Don Pedro and Claudio, the men have switched to blank verse, meaning verse without rhyme, but using iambic pentameter rather than the more conversational prose. Perhaps because they are speaking of love, signifying that in this scene, love is a theme that's serious, warranting a change in speech. Yet the way in which love is intended to be forged, by Don Pedro pretending to be Claudio, establishes the roots of Claudio and Hero's relationship in deception. As one of two couples in this play, Claudio and Hero's relationship is intended to be contrasted with the relationship of Beatrice and Benedict. On one hand, we have Beatrice and Benedict who know each other well, including how to push each other's buttons, and on the other we have Claudio and Hero who in contrast barely know each other. You can get the full analysis of this quote from bearlearn.com along with 50 other quotes with in-depth analysis written by me. And if you want them put into your BearBank all at once, make sure to open an account at bank.bearlearn.com and add the Put into BearBank option into your cart. Getting all your quotes and notes into your BearBank enables you to filter for relevant quotes and notes based on the theme or keyword of your essay. For example, if you get an essay on deception, you just need to hit that tag and BearBank will show only your quotes and notes relevant to deception, like this quote said by the lonely prince, Don Pedro. You can also get the 50 quotes from Much Ado About Nothing, curated by me, without the analysis for free, from bearlearn.com as well. Please do share this video if you know anyone who'd benefit from it, and if you like this video, please do hit like. There are a few more videos like this from me on Much Ado About Nothing, so check them out to help build your bank of quotes and notes. All the best with your studies, and on that note, if you're wanting to listen to teachers talking about English books on the VCE book list, do search for Teachers Talk Texts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts and listen in. We have podcasts on many of the texts from the book list, including Much Ado About Nothing. I'm Clare Mackie, host of the Teachers Talk Text podcast, and I hope that you got something out of this video in collaboration with Bear Learn.